So last we left off, we went ahead and added hours, minutes, and seconds to the actual activities table. Um, and then we had to go in and test it by manually filling out this form, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But I want to just write a test that actually does that. And that way we don't have to go ahead and manually fill out this form anytime we make a change. So what I'm going to do here is let's generate a system test. So we'll clear this out. We'll do Rails G system test, and I'm going to call it activities. And we'll go ahead into the test that we just generated, and let's go ahead and we're going to borrow some of the stuff here. So we know we're going to need to log in and out. So we'll use that devise helper. Let's go in here and do a setup block. And for this, let's use an existing user right here. So a confirmed user with activities. This will just help us. So we'll do user, and we'll get them from that particular fixture. And I'm going to stub out some tests here. So should create activity and calculate pace. You can do skip. If you do skip, it'll skip the test and it won't count as a failure. So we should also do should update activity and should delete activity. So for this, let's go in and we'll sign in the user, and then we'll visit the new activity path, and then we'll fill in. I gotta look at this. So the date, we can keep that. Category is run. We can keep all these. We'll do fill in distance with let's do 10.0. Fill in the unit, or actually, so it wouldn't be fill in, it would be select. I think we can just do select miles, and then we can do fill in hours with, let's do 2. Do fill in minutes with 30, and fill in seconds with 15. So let's just do this again real quick. So 2 times, or so there's 60 seconds. Sorry, so 60 seconds times 60 minutes times, so 7,200 plus 18. You know what? Actually, let me do something a little easier here. I'm getting to see what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that it calculates the pace right, but I'm trying to figure out the answer before we even get there. So let's just do. I actually know that an hour and 10 minutes and 0 seconds is a 7-minute pace, so we'll just go ahead with that. So then we would want to click button, which is create activity, and I think we can do, well, actually no, I was gonna say we can assert that an activity was created, but what we'll actually do is we'll find, it'll redirect to the page that the activity was created on. And I just want to see, do we even have a show page actually? Yeah, we do. So we want to assert that something like this comes up on the page. So you want to assert, or it could be assert selector, and we want to find a paragraph tag with the text of this, because if you run 10 miles an hour in 10 minutes, that's 7-minute pace. And by running this test, we're not only testing that an activity is created, but we're also testing that the, oh, it should be pace, not page. We're also testing that the activity is created and that the pace is calculated. So I realized it was a little clunky the way I went through that. It's kind of tricky because you need to, like, when you're writing these tests, you kind of like need to look at the app sometimes. Like, you can't, you know, I could write in what I would hope would be there, but for example, if I had seconds lowercase, like, it wasn't going to work. So it's kind of a fine line. Like, you don't want your tests to be too brittle where they break if something very minor on the UI changes, but you also don't want them to be tightly coupled to the UI, because then it makes changing your UI kind of a pain in the butt, because then your tests fail and then you have to update your tests, and then it makes it so you don't even care about testing anymore, or you don't actually look to see if your tests are passing because you know that they're probably failing for the wrong reasons. So anywho, let's clear this out and just run this. So Rails T test system, and this is the activities test, and we'll just run the whole thing. These skips will skip them rather than fail them. And we're getting a failure here, and you guessed it, it's because I spelled something wrong. This should be hours. Oh, I spelled it wrong again. Let me actually just go in here. Where is this? Alright, cleared that out. It's pretty funny if you guys watching this, because you're like, you see the mistake I make, and then like 5 minutes later I finally get ahead to implementing it, and then it doesn't work. So we'll go ahead and just run this particular line, because we saw the other two were skipped, which is fine. So it's running through filling out the form, but then it doesn't seem to find a paragraph tag with this in there. Let's actually look at the screenshot, which for some reason is not showing up. Oh, okay. So it is there. I can't tell if this test is brittle or not. So let's just go into the show. Oh, and it's because of that. So actually, maybe what we can do is let's wrap a span around here. And this is something I always kind of struggle with too, because so now I can look for a span that has this information in there. But then it gets kind of tricky, because if I change the span later to like maybe a div or something, then the test will fail. So it's kind of a challenge. And to be honest, I don't know like the best way to do it, because you need your UI to be specific enough that you can test it, but then it's also it gets kind of tricky where like now I'm looking for the span, and again, if I change the span to something else later, like this test will fail, but if the text is still on the page, it's still good. I don't actually know if there's an assert text. That would be nice if I could just do like assert text. I don't know if that's a thing. But for now, let's just run this. So that's good. That's passing. Let's go on to the next one. So let's just do activity, and we'll make it, because we already know this user has activities, so we'll just do user.activities.last. It doesn't really matter which one we do. And for this, let's just do sign in user, and then visit the activity path. We got to pass the activity in there, and then let's just fill the distance in with, I don't know, 320.11, and for a unit, we'll just select meters. And then for the button, I actually think, so now see it's update activity. So let's do click update activity, and then let's just assert. And again, this is where I like don't know. There's a few ways to go about this. Like I could assert that on the page, it shows that the distance was updated, and it says meters. I think right here I might just do assert that the flash message appeared. I'm actually going to wrap this in a paragraph tag because I know that the other test we have. So we have a test for flash messages, and I happen to know that we're showing the old flash message and the new flash message on the page, and it's looking for paragraph tags. But anywho, I'm just going to solve for that problem now by doing that. And let's go to my activities controller, and it should say updated activity. So let's just do search selector, paragraph, updated activity. So now let's go ahead and run this test. Interesting. So this doesn't look like this is working. Let's see what the screenshot says. Oh, you know what it is? Going to the show page. Maybe go to the edit page. So this is interesting. This is failing, but why is that failing? Ah, okay. This is interesting. Need to actually put in an integer here. Which I guess makes sense because we have all these different units. Although, no, this is not good because you could run 10.5 miles. So actually, I'm glad that I wrote this. So let's go to our schema file. Okay, distance is a decimal, so that's good. So that means that at the database level, we can put in a decimal, I think just in the form for activities. Number field. Okay, so I think to fix this, I can just do a step of, and then like do 0.01 for example. So it looks like, and this has nothing to do with Rails or Ruby. This is just how the number input type works. So to allow decimals, it looks like I just have to add a step like this. So let's go in here. We can just do, I think we just do step 0. We can do 0.01. Let's run this test again. See, this is actually one of the benefits of doing system tests is it's actually going through the browser and doing this, and now we caught like a little weird edge case that once we fix, we don't have to fix it again, or I shouldn't say once we fix it, we don't have to fix it again, but once we test it, we can automate that test again and again. And it looks like by doing that, we were able to fix that because this test is passing. So this is awesome. Finally, let's go into, let's just see that we can delete an activity. So we can actually use a lot of the same logic here because we have to go to an existing activity to delete it. So we visit the activity, and then in this case we want to click on delete. So click link delete, and I know we want to do, there's going to be this confirmation message, so we actually want to, I know we wanted to confirm that. We want to actually click like, yes, I want to delete it. So I need to, and I don't remember exactly how to do that. So accept alert, I think is what we want. So we want to wrap this, and then we want to make sure that, I also want to do assert difference here. I want to assert that the activity count went down by 1. I think this should work, and then we can also assert that this message appears, which is activities controller for so activity deleted. All right, let's clear this out. Let's run line 39. Okay, so this didn't work. Let's see what the screenshot has to say about this. You are not authorized to perform this action. Interesting. So that's I know this is coming from Pundit, but I don't know why we are getting that. So let's check out the activities policy, or the activity policy. Oh, okay. We don't have anything for the destroy. So we just want to do this. And this is another, see, this is an excellent reason why you want to write some high-level system tests, because we just caught a pretty substantial bug in our code, which is that you couldn't delete stuff. So, and just to be sure, activities controller, or sorry, I keep going the wrong thing. If you go into the activities controller, see, we're authorizing the activity, but we didn't actually have anything going on with the destroy. And so what was actually happening was, because the activity policy is actually inheriting from the application policy had a destroy method which was set to false. And in our activity policy, we didn't have anything. And you would think, oh, that's weird, like you didn't actually have destroy in there. How is this code still executing and prohibiting someone from making a delete request? And it's because it's inheriting from the application policy. So that's how that was happening. So let's run that test again. It still didn't work. So let's see what's going on. I wonder if my data is not right. So we are still not authorized to perform this. And I'm not totally sure why that's happening. So let's see. So, you know what we could do? I'll throw a buy bug in here. And when it gets to that line, I think it should get to this line, and we should be able to see what's going on. It's not getting there. Oh, it needs to be destroyed with a question mark. But let's keep the buy bug in there anyways, just to see if it actually, so we can kind of poke around in here. So this is good. So it did need the question mark. And user right here represents our confirmed user, and then record actually represents the activity. Record.user is that. We can actually just copy and paste this line that should return true. So we'll exit out of that, get rid of this buy bug, clear this out, and if we run the test again, it should pass. Ah, okay, maybe not. Let's see. Oh, okay, so activity deleted, but it didn't go down by 1. And I wonder if that's because, let's see here. It could be because this is actually running in a real browser. And what's happening here is this test is running so quickly that like it might not have actually been fully deleted from the database. So I'm going to put this in here for a second just to see if that's what the issue is. But that's kind of like not great because it's like slowing the test down. So that actually does fix the test. It gives it enough time so that the database transaction completes. I think what I might actually do is just, that's kind of making it a little too cumbersome. If it gets to this point, we can see that the only way it's going to get to activity deleted is if the activity is actually truly destroyed. So I think we're safe to leave it at that. Because if we add that sleep call in there, it's going to make our test suite a little bit slower, and it's not totally necessary. At least in my opinion, anyways. I kind of go back and forth with that stuff. So let's just go ahead and run our whole system test suite now. Cool, those are all passing. One other thing I'm noticing, or that I have noticed, is in our application layout, we still are rendering out these original Flash messages, but we have a partial here. So let's delete these. And I know, so in our Flash partial, we actually wrap these in a paragraph tag, and that should make it so the tests pass. But I'm noticing that there's a, we can even look at some of the screenshots. So let's see here, test, or not test, I think it's a temp. Maybe not that one. There's this extra space down here, and I think that's because the paragraph has a bottom margin on it. So I think if we go into this and just do class, margin bottom 0, I think that should take care of it. In any case, let's just run our test suite again to make sure that the Flash message test passes. Cool, that's good. So let's just commit our changes here. So let's see. Let's add, I want to break this out a little bit. So policies, app, views, activities, and then git add test system. Let's just run the git status here. Okay, because these two modifications have to do with the Flash message. I want to kind of keep these separate, so let's just commit these. And we'll just say write system tests for CRUD operations. And, or I should say on activity model. And let's see here. So we got these guys here. Let's just add them. We'll make a commit and we'll say remove duplicate Flash messages. Let's just run the actual test suite, so Rails T. I know there's ways to like kind of automate this, but that's all good. And these all pass, so this is cool. Get status. Let's just push this up, and we'll leave it off here for now.